Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to go over some of the groups and bands that I listen to on a daily basis. Stay tuned. What is up, boys and girls? It's your boy Luis Torres, and today I actually just wanted to go over, we all have our favorite bands that we listen to, whether we are happy, sad, excited, whatever the case is. We have our list of go-to groups, bands that we tend to listen to, and funny enough, and for some reason it always like shocks people, is I have a really wide range of different genres of music that I tend to listen to. So, as a kid, I grew up skateboarding, so I had all of these friends who I guess I would kind of throw into the early emo kind of genre. So, one of the groups that I tend to listen to on a daily basis, I'm talking about like 80% of the day when I'm working and I'm just editing wedding photos or sending out contracts and just working my business, I will listen to the Smiths more than anything. And I have Google Home, if you know what that is. It's basically like Alexa. And I'll usually just yell out first thing in the morning, "Hey, Google, stop." Uh, I'll usually just yell out, "Play the Smiths." And I'll just let that roll through most of the day just because it's background noise. It's something that isn't necessarily over the top. It's nothing that's going to get me anxious. You know what I mean? Like when I'm working on someone's wedding photos and they've paid me thousands of dollars to go ahead and shoot the wedding, edit the wedding, let them know when it's going to be sent out, package it and ship it. I can't be all like stressed out. So I need to listen to something calming. So that's, to me, that's the Smiths. Aside from the Smiths, of course, is The Cure. And dude, I've been listening to them since I was a kid, since I was about 13. So to me, that's like my casual kind of music that sets the tone for what's typically a stressful day. It's funny, like I have all of this and I have my YouTube channel, but I probably work 12 hours a day just on my business. Sometimes it's 14 hours if I need to take a break at some point for like an hour or two, and then I need an old man nap. Uh, in that case, I'll work, I'll start at 6 o'clock in the morning and I'll just go until 10 o'clock, midnight, and that's just how it is, dude, so that's business for you. And on another note, as far as genres go, one of the groups that a lot of us, regardless of who you are, dude, I'm sorry, if you're my age and you're 50 or in that range, dude, you grew up listening to the Police. So, just like I did. So, Sting actually had an incredible trumpet player, and his name is Chris Bodie. And Chris Bodie started with Sting, and he eventually decided, I'm going to do my own solo thing. And one of the places that he kind of, right out of the gate, started playing in, as far as areas go, is the Albany, New York area, which is where I am. And, he's played at all of these little clubs years ago. And funny how, years later, he's now a big name and a big brand. And he ended up playing the Egg with, to thousands of people. And, the seats that I had were kind of, here's the main, here's the stage, and then there's a center aisle, and at some point through the center aisle, there's a break, and you can go left or right. So that's basically where my seats were. And at one point, he kind of just walked by, walked up the aisle, got off stage, walked up the aisle, turned right, and kind of was just playing in front of me. And I'm, of course, as a photographer, I'm there with my cell phone just shooting video, and I was just like, this is awesome that Chris Bodie is literally almost like serenading me and the people and everyone else that I was with. And I was like, that's cool. So he definitely is more on the jazz side than anything else. And if you grew up in New York City, or if you're familiar with jazz, I used to always go to the Blue Note in Manhattan. There's just something about jazz that, just that calms you down. Aside from that, I grew up listening to Spanish music because that's what my parents listened to. And I later got into this flamenco guitarist named Otmar Liebert. So I've probably seen that guy play at least 14 times throughout the years. Like, just super talented. I'll put a link below so you can check him out. And, these are just groups that, I listen to when I'm just relaxing. That's my go-to right there. Now, when I want to be inspired because I'm thinking about writing something, like the other day when I created the song for the new intro, I was listening to Sick of It All. I grew up with Sick of It All. In fact, if you look at their first album, I probably know 5 people that are on the cover in the little tiny mirror panes. You'll see Minus from Marauder there, who's the original singer. Dominican Bill from Queens. There's so many people on there, it's ridiculous. So, of course, they're Sick of It All. There's Madball. Just because, those are the groups. I remember having the first EP by Madball back when Freddie was a 9-year-old kid, and I was just like, how does this 9-year-old have an EP, a 7-inch EP? And he's there with like his knuckles, and he has just a magic marker, written with, I forgot what it was written on. NYHC, I think, was on one side. I forgot what was on the other. So then, Go, which was a huge band in New York City, SFA, who was Brendan's band. And if you're familiar, of course, with CBGBs, Brendan used to actually run CBGBs for years, and he was a singer of SFA. And these are all bands that I grew up with listening to. Bug Out Society, Puzzlehead. These are all bands that I've played with. My first show was actually opening up for Bug Out Society at ABC No Rio in New York City on Rivington Street. So, these are all the groups that I used to listen to and still do, including Neurosis. It's funny, I watched a video recently where Neurosis was opening up for Tool, and I'm like, did they get that big? You have Neurosis's first album, which is The Word Is Law, Souls at Zero. They're just an absolutely incredible band that's been around for ages, and I'm shocked that they're still around, but it's great. And then, of course, I remember Death being the big new band from Florida in the early 90s and just making such a huge impact. Death, Sepultura was just like, what is going on? Pantera. And then, of course, when I was a 15-year-old kid, I used to listen to the Misfits and knew how to play all these Misfit songs. And fast forward, I had this huge gap and got back into music in 2016, and there was some band called Gojira. And I was just like, oh, okay. And it isn't until now that I, finally appreciate their music from just a metalhead's point of view, a guitarist's point of view, and how they write, and all the different oddities that they use, like the Digitech whammy, and how, like all these little things that I'm just like, holy smoke, like who would have ever thought that? Of course, the guys from Gojira did. So, guys, listen, down below in the comments, just write a list of some of the bands that influence you, or even go ahead and, they're your casual bands that you just listen to, and casual music that you kind of just hang out and veg to. You can't, I'm sorry, you can't listen to Slayer 24/7. Although some of you guys are going to say, yeah, you can. I can't, I can't edit someone's wedding photos and listen to Slayer all day. I'm sure I can for a little bit, but at some point I need to kind of chill and relax. So why don't you put a list, make up a list, write it down below, share it with everyone. That way we can all have an idea and see what other music is out there. So guys, if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for watching and welcome. Hopefully you go ahead and decide to subscribe and then hit the bell, jerk.